Well, if you know anything about this show, it's that we are big fans, apostles really, of the book, the tome, White Fragility, and of its deeply accomplished author, Ms. Robin DiAngelo. For example, when Robin DiAngelo told the New York Times in July that capitalism is, quote, dependent on inequality, we couldn't get enough of it. And when she wrote in her book, quote, whiteness has psychological advantages that translate into material returns, we thought, well, that sounds a little racist, but it's so well written. And we took 3 steps back and asked ourselves, wait, why is this creepy old white lady pretending to be the savior of African Americans? We didn't know the answer, but we gave her a pass. Tonight, though, it's time to have one of those difficult conversations that Robin DiAngelo was always calling for. And here's why. Documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon and Campus Reform show that this very same Robin DiAngelo made $12,750 to headline a diversity event in October at the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Here's the thing. Another speaker at the very same event, an actual black person called Austin Channing Brown, made just $7,500 for the very same job. Ooh, systemic racism, anyone? Of course, and prepare yourself for a hot blast of irony here, the title of the event was, quote, exposing racism and inequities. It's so good. It's got to be a big misunderstanding. And if Robin DiAngelo wants to explain it, of course, she's welcome on this show anytime. Again, to use language she can understand, it is time for a difficult conversation. So we're looking forward to it. We just hope her white fragility doesn't prevent her from accepting. Now, the same people who tell us endlessly that the United States is racist are the same ones encouraging people from non-white countries to come here as soon as possible. That's kind of weird. Why is that? Well, here's our possible future ambassador to China, for example. Watch.
Do you think that people who support President Trump and his immigration policies are racist?
Anyone who supports this is supporting racism. Our healthcare system is burdened by racism. We know that our housing is burdened by racism. Our schools are burdened by racism. Yes, the uniform is burdened by racism, but it goes far beyond that.
It is a matter of concern for every American that we dismantle systemic racism before it ends the American project in our lifetime.
Yeah. So there's the former McKinsey consultant lecturing us about how our country, which he's done nothing but degrade, is a terrible place, and we're the reason it is. But it does raise the academic question, how racist is America exactly? Can it be measured? Well, Kathleen Brush thought it could be measured, and she tried to measure it. She's the author of Racism and Anti-Racism in the World Before and After 1945. She joins us with the results of her study on this question. Kathleen Brush, thanks for coming on. So how racist is the United States? Of course.
America is one of the leading anti-racist nations, and you're right, it's the reason I wrote my book is because of people like Pete Buttigieg. I have been studying racism around the world for more than a decade, including visiting 114 nations. I know what systemic racism looks like. It is opposite to the United States. Now, the year 1945 is actually pivotal to understanding discrimination, because before it, people didn't see discrimination. They saw ordered societies. Well, in 1945, FDR parlayed American victory in World War II to get global powers to agree to end the colonial subjugation of Africans, Asians, and Europeans, and to get all nations to agree to abolish discrimination or to end discrimination. Well, come the early 1970s, America becomes the first nation to have an anti-racist system of government. Meanwhile, the rest of the nations, they didn't honor their commitments. They just continued right on discriminating as they had before. And so this is the reason in the 21st century you can see select populations that still experience slavery, arbitrary detention, statelessness, or just garden variety privileged and unprivileged people. Now, there's lots of examples in my book, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to cement America's anti-racist bona fides because they are so strong. African Americans are the most prosperous, educated Black population in the world. America's Latino GDP is the highest GDP of any Latin American nation, and that includes Brazil with 3.5 times the population. Asian Americans are the most educated and prosperous racial group in America. They're incomes are 25% higher than whites on average. For Indian Americans, household income is 60% higher. Now, there is no indigenous population that has been courted to ensure fair compensation for their land, in addition to receiving wealth transfers, protected freedoms, and other concessions than Native Americans. The year 1964, the year of our Civil Rights Act of 1964, America's population was 87% white. Today, it is 60% non-Hispanic white. For one comparison point, let's look at Liberia, which has a population that is 100% black, because you can only be a citizen of Liberia if you are black. Now, there was a global survey that answered the question, how many people do not want somebody of another race? Am I not talking? How many people of another race how many people do not want a person of another race as their neighbor? The answer was, in the United States, 0 to 5%. In Iran and Nigeria, it was 30 to 40%. Well, in France, it was 20 to 30%.
Let me just summarize it. And you're dealing with facts, and facts immediately cause the systemic racism lie to evaporate into steam. And I hope that our readers will arm themselves with the facts in your book, because, again, they're true. Kathleen Brush, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you.